isolation is not possible where rivers are. I have cowered in the reeds and seen the Trent give birth to longships in the morning mist.
What's he call it? The inner cabinet and their partners. Inner cabinet. One of the few places you gotta get out and make something happen, she used to say. There's no point staying in and waiting for it. Well, we'd have a go at anything. I can still see us in those nuns' costumes.
Well, how come you don't see anything of her now then?
The bow she sat, she looked a proper picture, he looked a proper prat. The boat was settled in the lock, she chattered in the prow.
My son said to me, Dad, how much did it cost to get married? I said, I've no idea, son, I'm still
The old woman turned to look at her charge, who lay on a straw mattress on a raised wooden ledge. It won't be long now. Charlotte was in the final stages of what had been a difficult pregnancy.
Today, he was particularly interested as the time team diggers were working not in a field, but in the garden of a house, digging trial pits and discovering things like coins, stone foundations, tiles, and Samian ware, whatever that was. As the programme came to a close, an idea formed in his mind. His house had a long garden, and at the end was an area which never seemed to be used for anything. Certainly, it wasn't used for growing vegetables, and it might be a good place to do his own time team dig, to see if anything was buried under the earth.
We either love cats, or we may even prefer their canine antagonists. Frank liked neither. He also loathed children. He particularly hated the whining of his own offspring. But since his children had grown and flown the nest, he turned his loathing to his wife. And as he and she aged together, she seemed to need him the more, and the more she doted on him, the more his hatred of her grew. "Why don't you get yourself a pet?" Frank suggested in a moment of insanity. Regrettably for him, though, she listened and heeded. She got herself a cat that became a wonderful companion and friend.
Of weeds and nerds and locomotives. 49 she found down one suburban road. How can anyone be so passionate about green things called dead nettle, milk thistle, polypody, nipplewort? Weird. But then there is a body to their lore, the feel of their skin on your hands, on your fingers, the sex appeal of weeds.
Just an idea of what money can do, what things cost. £1 will buy 30 bricks. £8 will train 20 women in hygiene and toilet building. £60 will build a toilet. £150 will set up a small school. And £1,700 will build a home in Zambia. Simple home which has got one room, kitchen and a bedroom. And some have their own toilets, some have outside toilets. So how many houses could you buy for one house in the world?
lesson to my work to do. It's about a very, very naughty little boy. And I want you to imagine that 3 kids have just knocked on a front door to ask for their money back. And it's called Luke Baden's Zoo. Mrs. Baden, we want our money back. Luke charged us 50p. He promised to show wild animals to Tyrone, Chantal and me. He said that he'd got big cats. He's a rotten little liar. We saw a single tubby tabby. It was snoozing by the fire. And the giant tortoise from Galapagos turned out to be a wok. Whilst the world's longest python had googly eyes, it was a sock. Goldie, the killer whale, that speaks for itself. How could anyone fit an orca into a bowl on the kitchen shelf? And the sleeping Uber and bear cub was the biggest con trick ever. It was the mouldy fake fur hat that his gran wears in cold weather. As for the invisible rabbit, we couldn't contain our rage. There was simply nothing there, except a carrot in a cage. What's that? Luke's not in. He's gone to get the bus. He's going to a real zoo with the money he took from us. And you won't be giving refunds. 0, nothing, nil. You think Luke has imagination, an entrepreneurial skill? Well, I'm glad you don't see the funny side, because the hippopotamus was a laugh. Luke let us peek through the keyhole at you. He was in the bath.
Okay, Andrew. Nice and clearly, off you go.
Welcome everybody to our school concert.
Louder, please, Andrew. Mums and dads won't hear you at the back, will they?
Welcome everybody to our school concert.
Louder, Andrew. You're not trying. Project your voice. Take a big breath and louder.
Welcome everybody to our school concert.
For goodness sake, Andrew, louder!
Welcome everybody to our school concert.
Now, Andrew, there's no need to be silly.
Sorry, miss. Sorry.
She also has a darker secret that is darker than all the rest. She's president of the Yorkshire Tea Drinking Society. But the darkest secret of them all was that she's a spy and she was about to receive her next mission. Barbara dear, we've run out of Yorkshire tea, stammered Mrs. Chicksworth. Get baking with me, Mary Berry. Get baking with me, Mary Berry, rang Mrs. Chicksworth's phone. It was a call from PI7, or Pensioners I7. it was from Jim. We've got a mission for you. You know your nemesis, Bob Jeffers? Jim asked. The one from the gym? She replied. No, the one with the red mobility scooter.
Neville, the star fish, was sick of his shape. So he made a wish upon himself that he could be something else, like a round fish, or a square fish, or a hexagonal. Octagonal. Not fish. Even a triangle fish would have done. But when you wish upon a star fish, it doesn't matter who you are, your dreams just don't come true. That's quite better.
Okay, so what is teenage fiction? It doesn't have to be just one type of book, but it can be a range of different types of books, all aimed at teenagers. But what does this really mean? Because someone who's 13 could read stuff that's completely different to someone who's 17 or 18. So is it a bit general to put all these books into the same category as each other?
I'd like to think that this Nitwits memorial, created for the Alrose show last year, would appeal to a sense of fun. It has certainly brought smiles to everyone who's seen it. And it's been on loan for a year to a special needs school where it was on display in the garden. It has recently returned minus a hat, minus an eye, but with many apologies. I thought of doing some restoration work before I brought it here today, but I decided to leave it as it is. It's like the teddy bear with one eye and battle scars. I'd like to think it's been well loved. Thank you.
It's just a simple one by Bob the organist. It's tough to be an alto when you're singing in the choir. The sopranos get the twiddly bits that peoples all admire. The basses boom like loud trombones, the tenors shout with glee, but the alto part is in 2 notes, or if you're lucky, 3. And when we sing an anthem and we lift our hearts in praises, the men all get the juicy bits and telling little phrases. Of course, the trebles sing the tune, they always come off best. The altos only get 3 notes and 22 bars rest. We practice very hard each week from hymn book and the psalter, but when the conductor looks at us, our voices start to falter. Too high, too low, too fast, you held that note too long. It doesn't matter what we do, it's certain to be wrong. Oh, shed a tear for the altos. They're the martyrs and they know in the ranks of choral singers they're considered very low. They are so very humble that a lot of folk forget them. How they love to be sopranos, but their vocal cords won't let them. And when the final trumpet sounds and we are wafted higher, sopranos, basses, tenors, they'll be in the heavenly choir. While they sing Alleluia to celestial flats and sharps, the altos will be occupied with polishing the harps. plate and her pot on the coal, and none but herself to converse with, or so. In a shawl and a hood, she got sticks out a door. On a bit of old sacking, she slept on the floor. And nobody asked how she fared, or knew how she managed, for nobody cared.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling along the glen and down the mountain side. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. 'Tis you must go and I must bide.
Could this sleeper, this blob, help with one little job? And could he exhibit some vigour and health? Well, I would wake him and ask, but it's too much of a task, so don't bother, I'll do it myself.
You gather lilacs in the spring and walk together down an English lane until our hearts have learned to sing again. When you come home once
His writing in places was sticky and thick through dipping the pen in the jam. And it's through that there Magna Charta, as was signed by the barons of old, that in England today we can do what we like, so long as we do what we're told.
a